New Year's Eve. Fireworks were already echoing in the distance, and my parents were throwing my suitcase onto the cold marble driveway. No hugs, no explanations, just one sentence that still rings in my ears. You're not part of this family anymore. I lost my home, my job, and my name, all before the clock hit midnight. And then I gave away the last thing keeping me alive to a stranger. I didn't know it then, but that one decision would rewrite my entire life. My name is Maya Reynolds. At 11:12 p.m. on December 31st, the iron gates of my parents' estate in Cedar Ridge Heights closed behind me with a sound so soft it felt cruel. My younger sister Lena stood in the doorway, arms folded, lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She was wearing a champagne gold dress, holding her phone sideways, recording. "Let's see how you survive the new year now," she said lightly, like she was commenting on the weather. My suitcase hit the ground first, then me. I stood there in the fog, blinking, waiting for someone, anyone, to say this was a joke. They didn't. Inside, laughter erupted, music turned louder, glasses clinked. Outside, it was just me and the cold. I had $47 in my bank account, no car, no job, and no place to go. Earlier that morning, my email had refreshed with a subject line that ended 6 years of my life. Position eliminated, effective immediately. The marketing firm I helped build had downsized, no warning, no severance. I drove straight to my parents' house thinking family meant safety. I was wrong. I walked. Past houses glowing with warm lights, past countdown banners, past people hugging in driveways, already celebrating a future I no longer belonged to. My fingers went numb. My breath came out in sharp clouds. I didn't stop walking until my legs gave up. There was a small public square near the old courthouse, one bench, one flickering street lamp, and silence thick enough to hurt. I sat down hard. That's when I noticed her. An elderly woman stood a few steps away, swaying slightly. No shoes, thin sweater, skin pale and gray from the cold. She looked fragile, like the night might take her if no one noticed. She spoke softly. "Do you know if any shelters are still open tonight?" I shook my head. I don't have anywhere either." She nodded, accepting it without bitterness, and slowly sat beside me. Her feet were turning blue. Something inside my chest cracked. I was freezing, but I still had my long wool coat, the last valuable thing I owned. Without thinking, I stood up and wrapped it around her shoulders. She gasped when the warmth hit her. Her hands, shaking, thin, closed around the fabric. She looked at me for a long moment, eyes sharp despite her exhaustion. "What's your name, child?" "Maya." She smiled faintly. Kindness like that is rarer than money. She squeezed my hands once, firmly, then stood up straighter than before, and she walked away, disappearing into the fog. I sat back down, shaking harder than ever, but for the first time that night, my chest felt lighter. I didn't know it yet, but in exactly 1 hour, everything was about to change. At 12:14 a.m., the sound of engines broke the silence. Deep, controlled, expensive. I looked up and froze. At 12:14 a.m., the streetlight flickered. Then the sound came again, low, smooth, powerful. Engines. Not one, not two, many. I stood up slowly, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Out of the fog emerged a line of black luxury SUVs, their headlights cutting through the night like blades. They moved in perfect formation, silent, controlled. The kind of movement you don't see unless money and power live in the same sentence. They stopped, right in front of me. The entire street was blocked. For one insane second, I thought this had to be a mistake. Maybe a politician, maybe a celebrity party gone wrong. Then the middle SUV door opened, and my breath caught. She stepped out. The same woman, but not the woman I had met on the bench. Gone was the thin sweater. Gone were the bare feet. She was wrapped in an elegant charcoal coat, tailored perfectly, diamond brooch catching the streetlight. Her silver hair was pulled into a flawless low bun. Behind her, men in dark suits moved with quiet precision. She looked untouchable. She walked straight toward me. Every step measured, every eye on her. She stopped inches away and smiled, warm, knowing. "Maya," she said softly, like we were old friends. I couldn't speak. "I've been watching you for a very long time," she continued. "Long enough to know exactly who you are." One of the men stepped forward. "Ma'am, it's cold." She waved him away without turning her head. Then she looked at me again. "If you've ever been abandoned by the people who were supposed to protect you, remember this moment, because tonight is not your ending." She turned and nodded toward the open car. "Come with me." My brain screamed danger. My body screamed run. But something in her eyes told me this wasn't random. This was deliberate. I hesitated. "I don't even know your name." She smiled wider. "You will." I stepped inside. The door closed with a soft, expensive thud. The car glided forward. No questions, no explanations, just motion. After 20 minutes, the gates opened. Not my parents' gated community. This was different, hidden, old money quiet. We passed through tall trees, the kind that swallow sound, until a massive historic mansion appeared, glowing warmly against the night. Inside smelt like cedar and roses. A fireplace roared. A butler appeared without speaking. She finally turned to me. "My name is Evelyn Croswell. My husband built one of the largest private investment groups on the West Coast." My hands trembled. "I don't understand." She leans forward. "Every New Year's Eve, I walk the city alone. No phone, no security nearby. I wait to see who still chooses kindness when no one is watching." My heart dropped. "You weren't homeless." "No," she said calmly. "I was testing humanity." She studied me. "You gave away the last thing keeping you alive." Silence filled the room. "I have no children, no heirs, and no interest in leaving my life's work to people who've never known hunger or loss." She slid a folder across the table. Inside, documents, numbers, names. She said, "I'm offering you a place here, a job, a salary, and a chance to prove this wasn't luck." I stared at the folder. "Why me?" Her voice lowered. "Because I know exactly what it feels like to be thrown away before midnight and still choose to be good." I swallowed hard. Outside, fireworks exploded in the distance. A new year had begun, and my life had just split in two. What I didn't know yet was that my family was already planning how to take it all back. I moved into the east wing of the Crosswell estate 3 days later. Not because I trusted Evelyn Crosswell, but because I had nowhere else to go. My room alone was larger than my parents' entire living room. Tall ceilings, soft lighting, and glass doors that opened to a winter garden dusted with frost. It felt unreal, like I was trespassing in someone else's life. At exactly 6 a.m., the knock came. Sharp, precise. A tall woman with steel gray hair and eyes that missed nothing stood outside my door. "I'm Naomi Pierce," she said. "I run operations. Breakfast is in 15 minutes. If you're late, you're gone." No smile, no welcome. That was my introduction to the year that broke me and rebuilt me. Evelyn didn't want gratitude. She wanted proof. My days became a blur of early mornings and late nights, financial statements before sunrise, meetings with investors twice my age, site visits to shelters, clinics, and housing projects no one else wanted to fund. Every decision mattered. Every mistake was corrected, publicly. Intentions don't change lives, Evelyn would say. Execution does. Some nights, I cried quietly in the shower, convinced I was an imposter waiting to be exposed. Other nights, I fell asleep fully dressed, spreadsheets glowing beside me. I learned how money actually works, how power moves behind closed doors, how generosity without discipline becomes waste. And slowly, I changed. By spring, I could read contracts like a second language. By summer, board members stopped talking over me. By fall, they started listening. Then, in October, Naomi knocked again. "Your sister is downstairs," she said. My stomach dropped. Lena walked in like she'd rehearsed every step. No designer dress, no camera, just a soft sweater and trembling hands. "Maya," she whispered, "we made mistakes." Behind her stood Eric Hale, my ex, the man who left me because I was too focused on work. They smiled the smiles of desperate people. "Our parents are in trouble," Lena continued. "Bad investments. They might lose the house." Eric leaned in. "You're doing well now. You could help." I said nothing. Lena swallowed. "We only need 2 million. The room went quiet. I folded my hands. "And the trust fund?" I asked calmly. Her eyes flickered. "Gone. Crypto, startups, private deals, vanished." Eric tried to laugh it off. "Markets are unpredictable." I stood up. "This foundation exists for people who never had a safety net, not for people who burned theirs for fun." Naomi appeared at the door. Security followed. Lena's mask shattered. "You owe us," she screamed. I met her eyes. "No," I said softly. "I owe myself." They were escorted out. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. Because that night, Lena went online and told the world I was a monster. By morning, my name was trending, and the internet was choosing sides. I woke up to my phone vibrating like it was having a panic attack. Messages, missed calls, notifications stacked so high my screen lagged. Naomi was already in my room. "You're trending," she said flatly. She turned the tablet toward me. There it was, a video of Lena crying in the lobby of our building, filmed perfectly from the right angle. Caption: "My billionaire sister refuses to help our parents and lets them become homeless. Blood means nothing to her." Hashtags everywhere. Hashtag cold-hearted. Hashtag family first. Hashtag rich and cruel. 10 million views in 6 hours. Comments were brutal. "Money changes people. She forgot where she came from. I hope karma finds her." I felt the old panic rise in my chest. Then something unexpected happened. The internet kept digging. A former classmate posted screenshots of Lena mocking me online years ago. Someone found an old clip of her laughing while I packed my suitcase on New Year's Eve. An ex-housekeeper commented anonymously, then verified. She used to lock Maya outside as a joke. The tone shifted. Fast. By noon, new hashtags climbed. Hashtag exposed. Hashtag not the victim. Hashtag truth matters. Eric's startup pitch deck leaked next. Journalists noticed numbers that didn't add up. Investors pulled out. Sponsors vanished. By evening, Lena's follower count had dropped in half. I never posted a single word. That night, Evelyn poured me a glass of wine. Poetic justice, she said calmly, works best when you don't interfere. 2 weeks later, the news broke. Pacific Shore collapses, $4.1 billion fraud under FBI investigation. My father had moved everything into it, the house, the remaining accounts, even my mother's jewelry. All gone. 30 days later, foreclosure papers appeared on their gate. They moved into a small apartment above a laundromat. And then they came to see me. All 3 of them. Together. My father looked older than I'd ever seen him. And this time, they weren't asking online. They were begging in person. It was raining, the kind of rain that felt personal. Cold. Persistent. Naomi's voice came through the intercom. "They're here," she said. All 3. I closed my laptop slowly. "Send them up." The elevator doors opened like a confession. My father stepped out first, or what was left of him. His hair had gone almost completely white. His shoulders slumped forward as if the weight of his choices had finally settled where it belonged. The tailored confidence he once wore like armor was gone. My mother followed, eyes red, clutching a cheap handbag with both hands. And then, Lena. No makeup, no phone raised, no performance. They stood in front of my desk, unsure where to put their eyes. Silence stretched. Finally, my father spoke. "Maya, you're still our daughter." The words landed flat. I didn't invite them to sit. "We have nowhere else to go," my mother whispered. "The lease ends soon." Lena's voice broke. "Please, just enough to start over." I listened. Then I reached into my drawer and placed 3 business cards on the desk. A financial recovery counselor, a debt management program, a mental health crisis line. "This is what the Crosswell Foundation offers," I said calmly, "to strangers who lose everything." My father's hand trembled as he reached for the cards. "That's it?" he asked. I stood up. "You rewrote the trust. You watched me be humiliated. You chose silence." My mother looked up, tears falling freely. "We were wrong." "I believe you," I said. "But being sorry doesn't rebuild a life." Lena started sobbing. "You're enjoying this," she accused. I shook my head. "No, I just stopped paying for your mistakes." I opened the door. They left without another word, but I felt it. Closure, or so I thought. 2 months later, I was called to the main stage of the largest project of my life, and I saw them in the crowd. The sky was steel gray the morning the doors opened. Hundreds of people filled the plaza, Families, donors, city officials, reporters. Cameras lined the barriers. Microphones waited. This was the renewal project. 200 permanent homes, a medical clinic, job training, childcare. A place for people who were told they didn't belong. Naomi adjusted my mic. "They're here," she whispered. I didn't ask who. I already knew. As I stepped onto the stage, applause rolled forward like a wave. I paused, and then I saw them, near the back. My father, in a worn coat 2 sizes too big. My mother, holding a paper coffee cup like it might disappear. Lena, smaller than I remembered, stripped of the armor she once wore. I let the silence stretch. 1 year ago, I began, voice steady. I was told I didn't belong anywhere. The crowd leaned in. I learned something that night. Family isn't blood. Family is the hand that reaches out when you have nothing left to give. Camera zoomed. This building exists for every person who's been discarded and told to disappear. Applause thundered. I looked straight at them. Not with anger, not with pride, just truth. You are not disposable, I said. You are not alone. The doors behind me slid open. Warm light spilled out. I stepped down from the stage. My father tried to speak. I didn't stop. My mother reached out. Hernand never touched me. Lena opened her mouth, said nothing. I walked past them, forward. As the doors closed behind me, someone tugged gently on my sleeve. Someone tugged gently on my sleeve. I turned. A little boy stood there in a red jacket, clutching a dandelion in his fists like it was treasure. "Are you the lady who built this place?" he asked. I knelt so we were eye level. "I'm one of them," I said. He held out the flower. "For you, because now my mom doesn't cry at night." Something in my chest softened. I took the flower carefully. "Thank you," I whispered. Behind us, music swelled. Families crossed the threshold. Laughter echoed off the walls. A future began quietly, without permission from anyone who once doubted me. Outside, the celebration continued. Inside, I finally understood something I'd been chasing my whole life. Forgiveness doesn't always mean letting people back in. Sometimes it just means letting go and walking forward. I never spoke to my parents again, not out of hate, but because healing doesn't require reopening every door that hurt you. That New Year's Eve didn't give me revenge. It gave me clarity, and that was enough.